Hello there, welcome friends. It is ArDee bringing you more unwatchable content and yet another video no one is going to watch. But if you're no one that is going to watch today's video, it is a short and sweet installment and it is titled The Sun Strikes Back. Just when you thought it was safe to look at the sun, a solar flare, not just any ordinary solar flare, an X-class solar flare M9.5 has erupted on the surface of the sun, sparking radio blackouts across the Pacific. So welcome folks, we are, as I said, going to take a little short and sweet dive into an article from space.com regarding the sun. Just as eclipse season has ended, some of you have packed up your eclipse decorations. You might want to get them out one more time and repurpose them, as it seems the solar activity and the sun will not quit just yet. And this latest solar development, this solar flare they're talking about, is the most powerful eruption from the sunspot region, R3654 yet. So the biggest sunspot eruption ever recorded in last night, although it was actually a couple of nights ago that it was April the 30th. The sun released an extremely powerful gust of toxic gas. No, it didn't. It released an extremely powerful solar flare that triggered widespread radio blackouts across the Pacific region. Let me know if you were in the Pacific region and experienced radio blackouts on a Tuesday the 30th. It was Tuesday the 30th of April, I believe, when this solar flare erupted, the biggest one ever recorded. But the flare peaked at around 7:46 p.m. EDT, which is 23:46 Greenwich Mean Time, 11:46 for those of you unfamiliar with military times. And it ended very shortly at 7:58. I wonder if NASA fired up a whole bunch of rockets to record that 2 minutes of solar flare activity. But solar flares, the article from space.com goes on to say that there are eruptions from the sun's surface that emit intense bursts of electromagnetic radiation. And they are created when magnetic energy builds up in the solar atmosphere and is released. Make of that what you will, folks. But solar flares are categorized by size into lettered groups, with the X-class being the most powerful. Then there are M-class flares that are 10 times less powerful than X-class flares, followed by C-class flares, which are 10 times weaker than M-class flares. B-class, and as you get the picture, look, B-class, C-class, A-class, and B-class flares, they have no noticeable consequences on Earth whatsoever. So we can experience all the B-class solar eruptions we like, but this X-class flare is concerning, guys, because allegedly, according to space.com, it caused a little bit of a radio blackout on the Pacific coast there, April the 30th, Tuesday night, 7:56 p.m. So again, if you were in that area out on the Pacific coast and experienced a radio blackout, love to hear from you. And was this caused by this flare, or was this yet another exercise or drill or experiment? He just sort of flicked a switch and turned off transmitters for that region and just sort of wanted to see how people would react to this. And for many years, and possibly over a decade or more, we have been dangled with the threat of an EMP strike. What would happen in an EMP strike in a grid down situation? Total blackout. And are they getting ready for for a total blackout. It is a national level emergency, a national level exercise emergency training month, the month of May 2023. Some of you regular offenders who do watch RD will be all too aware of some very disturbing FEMA activity going on leading in to that Keystone 6 simulation drill for a series of cascading impacts across a large scale region of the United States of America, and that scenario is simulating and is accounting for up to 100,000 plus disaster survivors or refugees. Make of that what you will. But is it going to be during the drill, or are we going to get another solar eruption from the sun that's going to cause a little bit more than just a radio blackout for a few minutes on the Pacific coast? Is it going to plunge the world into darkness just like it was for 4 minutes during the solar eclipse of the sun? But it is measured by NASA's GOES 16 satellite, which puts it just a fraction below an X class. So it isn't actually an X class, but it's close enough for them to use the X class for sensationalism. But related, watch 4 solar flares erupt from the sun at nearly the same time in an extremely rare event, guys. And for the last couple of years, myself, my partner, have been telling you and reporting on an awful lot of articles related to an awful lot of things that have often used the expression or phrase, "It's like nothing we've ever seen before." But shortwave radios, back to the article, the shortwave radio blackouts, like the one witnessed over the Pacific, are common shortly after a power solar flare, and eruptions due to the strong pulse of X-rays and extreme ultraviolet radiation emitted during the event. The radiation travels towards Earth at the speed of light, and it happens to ionize at the top of the Earth's atmosphere when it reaches us. Is there any more there? There is a picture that is the thumbnail. The solar flare is the most powerful eruption from sunspot region R3654. Yeah, we've heard that. And I think that is the video that they talked about. They said that there was a video included in this article. That's it, folks. There is the largest solar flare in sunspot region R3654 ever recorded. Sensational stuff. But this ionization, back to the article, causes a high density environment that the high frequency shortwave radio signals must attempt to navigate through to support communication over long distance, and the radio waves that interact with electrons in the ionized layers lose energy due to more frequent collisions, and this can lead to radio signals becoming degraded or completely absorbed. And that is according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. There's a link there for Space Weather Prediction Center. But radiation from the April 30th solar flare affected those on the sunlit portion of the Earth at the time of the eruption, and the Pacific region's mariners and ham radio operators may have noticed a loss of signal below 20 megahertz for as much as 30 minutes after the solar flare's peak. And that is according to spaceweather.com. Get the space.com newsletter, I'll pop your email address there, and by doing so you will be agreeing to terms and conditions and privacy policies. But high frequencies, it's a nice picture there, look, that might be a thumbnail in the future. But high frequency radio blackouts across the Pacific regions was reported by NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center. Was a little intersection there, but the solar activity is ramping up. And this is what is concerning, guys, as we approach solar maximum, the peak of solar activity during the sun's approximately 11-year solar cycle. And this is indicated by the frequency of sunspots. Despite the large number of these sunspots currently visible on the sun's surface, Our star has been relatively quiet in recent weeks, but not anymore. The near X-class solar flare erupted from the sunspot region. What do they say about repetition being the father of all learning, or the bastard of all mind control? Take your pick, one of the other, or possibly I'm going to go with the latter rather than the former. But this solar flare that erupted again using the sunspot region AR3654 was the most powerful eruption from this region. Yeah, I think there's at least 3, possibly 4 times we've heard that in this article. I think we're just over halfway through, but it is always exciting when a sunspot region lives up to its potential, and AR3654 has certainly just done that. Solar scientist Alex Young posted on X, and there's Dr. C. Alex Jones update April 30th, 2024, almost X. Despite high sunspot numbers for the last couple of weeks, tonight's near X-class hashtag solar flare is the first decent-sized flare in some time. When and where will the next X-class event come from? I'm guessing it will come from the sun, possibly sunspot region 3654. I don't know, just a guess, guys. I'm not a solar scientist or an astrophysicist. And that was a quote from Ryan French. Some more tweets here. Dr. Ryan French, despite high sunspots numbers, solar scientists, assess their folks, are keeping a watchful eye on the sun as it approaches solar maximum, because solar activity can impact our lives on Earth. See what they're doing here, guys? A seed planting. Powerful flares last year, Solar Saturday, over on the TSS. We reported solar activity and suggested back then that are they going to use the sun as a weapon of mass destruction against humanity and then blame it on the sun? Blame it on the sun. Actually, that's wrong. Let's blame it on the rain. Stop singing, RD. You're not good at it. You're not really good at shit video productions, but nonetheless, powerful flares can significantly affect spacecraft and satellites. Goodness, let's hope no invading aliens get caught in a solar X-class flare. And ground-based technologies traveling at the speed of light, and they don't give a lot of notice before striking. When the sun strikes, there's no warning. You won't see it coming, as Obama once was famously quoted. But that's why numerous organizations, including NASA, NOAA, and the United States Air Force weather agencies, are monitoring the sun closely. These organizations can send out warnings to technology and infrastructure sectors vulnerable to solar flare activity, so that appropriate precautions can be taken in the event of a potentially harmful space weather. Harmful space weather, guys, I think is something we possibly will start hearing an awful lot more of in the not so distant future. But we can't ignore space weather, but we can take appropriate measures to protect ourselves, NASA says. And almost certain, and sure as sure can be, that FEMA will have protocols and procedures, training exercises for solar flare activities, and I will probably look that up to clarify and confirm my suspicions after I finish recording this not so short and sweet video as it is looking. But there is no need to worry. So-called killer flares do not exist. Phew. I was beginning to worry that there might be something like scarier than X-class solar flares, like killer flares, but although they don't exist at the moment, guys, remember we are seeing a lot of things in contemporary times that never previously existed before. So let's not rule out killer flares, and the fact that they mention them do suggest that they're looking for them, and maybe some of these solar scientists are secretly hoping for one, just so that they can get their rocks off. People get their rocks off in all sorts of ways, and probably maybe solar scientists erupt and emit their eruptions while the solar flare is erupting its solar eruptions, if you know what I mean there. It was a masturbating joke, guys. It was masturbating references. They masturbate to the sun is what I'm getting at, if you aren't following along or paying attention. Hello, female YouTube viewers. Good to see you, male YouTube viewer. Glad you stopped by, male YouTube viewer. How are you, female YouTube viewer? Good to see you, female YouTube viewer. Hi, male YouTube viewer. There is a little token of gratuity to the hello crowd that watch RD, but they don't contain enough energy to do any lasting damage to Earth itself, but it might do a little bit of temporary damage, enough damage to cause enough problems, destructions, and civil unrest perhaps to warrant some sort of military deployment in FEMA, answering to the call of presidential declarations of disaster. But even at their worst, the sun's flares are not physically capable of destroying the Earth, NASA says. But join our space forums to keep talking space on the latest missions, night sky, and more. And if you have a news tip, correction, or comment, let us know at community@space.com. I thought I said spa for a minute. And Daisy Dobrovich joined space.com in February 22, having previously worked for their sister publication. And there is Daisy Dobrovich. I'm guessing she is of Eastern European descent. Pretty looking smile Daisy has got there. But that is it, folks. Let me just roll you back to the top of this article. The sun struck back with an almost X-class solar flare this past week, and they are saying that possibly more are on the way. But don't worry, guys, killer solar flares do not exist as of yet, and the worst that might happen as a result of a very, very powerful solar flare is you might not be able to listen to the radio for an hour or two after the event. But that is it, folks. This short and sweet video is thus concluded, and all that remains for me to say is until the next one, folks, please take care. May the force be with us all, and more importantly, and as always, let's all be excellent to each other. So that is it for now, folks. RD signing out. We will see you soon in the next one. Thanks for watching.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog. Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.
Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes!
Hey, Luke. May the force be with you.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.